I mean, what? Like, you know, what? That's crazy. In today's video, we're gonna be taking a long-awaited look at the two newest products from one of our favorite balisong makers. This year, Machinewise released the Tottori and Sasori, and then they promptly unreleased the Sasori and then released the titanium Sasori, which is like the Sasori but made out of titanium. Now, thankfully, if you like the original aluminum version of the Sasori, that's too bad, 'cause it's gone. In fact, most of the old Machinewise lineup is now gone, snapped away into dust by the thoughtless hands of a purple nutsack. In the time after the blip, we have been left with far fewer options when it comes to their lineup of balisongs. This change is obviously a big deal. Machinewise is loved in the balisong community, and while the only surviving member of their old line, the Serif, still reigns supreme as one of my favorite balisongs of all time, these two new entries have something to prove. To help determine whether these two artisanal fidget toys are worth their salt, I sent my Brandon clone army abroad with the goal of collecting 2 of every animal to repopulate the earth after its inevitable demise. Instead of listening to me, they brought back a selection of balisongs from Machinewise's old lineup, which will be good for comparing against for this specific review, but it's too bad about the animals though. Of course, if you want to help support our plans of saving the Earth after the downfall of humanity, then consider donating to our Patreon. Supporters get access to our private community Discord server where you can talk to Brandon and I directly, and patrons get to see videos like these days in advance of the public. Tiers start at just $3 a month, and every bit goes towards the talcum powder I need to feed all my Brandon clones. A healthy diet goes a long way.
Damn right.
Anyway, we're gonna take a small look at the history of Machinewise as a company and compare the old with the new to see if this big decision to change literally everything paid off. We have, of course, covered the entire history of Machinewise before with the founder and leader of the machine revolution himself, Dalen. If you want a fun look through their entire lineup, consider watching that video here. Also, don't forget to touch that subscribe button lightly so as to not frighten it. For this review, we don't need to go into that much detail. Machinewise got their start making balisongs in late 2020 and released their first major product, the 5T, in 2021. The 5T is such an interesting balisong. It's a huge, weird, blocky thing made from titanium that was actually surprisingly good. It was one of the most unique balisongs I had ever tried and put Machinewise on the map as a creative force to be reckoned with. After that, the designs got a bit more refined with the release of the Marin, Marin Light, and Sliff T. And then Dalen loaded up a swing with the intention of hitting a homer. And I am not talking about The Simpsons. In 2022, Machinewise released the Serif, a balisong which would instantly become one of my favorite at the time and still continues to hold one of the top 3 spots in my entire collection. This release would cement Machinewise as a top-tier maker in the community. Nobody expected this level of quality and performance that was brought to the table by the Serif, and they continued this by releasing their other most popular balisong, the Prisma. Throughout all of these releases, 2 things have come to define what Machinewise is as a company. The first being their uniqueness, bringing new ideas to the balisong space, which had never been seen before. But the second is their quality. Machinewise, at its core, has become known as the premium butterfly knife brand, even recently staking their own claim in the folding knife space with a similar level of unbeatable machining and tolerances which have never been seen before. And so, when a company so loved as this changes their entire lineup save for one single product, they'll never take you from me, my sweet summer child, then you have to look at what came in to replace everything else and ask, does this represent what Machinewise should be? To answer that, we should start by looking at the design of these products. First up is the Sasori. The original version was crafted from aluminum and features a very cool trainer blade design. Immediately, I could tell that this was a step up from their previous work. Dalen has talked in the past about how he isn't really a designer. He's an engineer and machinist, and so the drive to create something meant that he did have to design so he could do that, but aesthetics have never really been his thing. Enter Martin, originally brought on as an expert designer and engineer who has now risen to be the president of Machinewise itself, giving Dalen the ability to have more time back where he feels the most at home, next to his CNC. What Martin brought with him was design experience and a love for knives in general. His father actually owns the Pinchetta Pen and Knife Shop in Arizona, which is right next to Machinewise HQ. And I think that this led directly to the much more mature design language exhibited on both the Sasori and Tottori. I love the clean look of the Sasori with no hole pattern in sight. Instead, you get this wonderful textured groove, kind of similar to the Balisong Pro. It is sleek and minimal while still matching the aesthetic of the trainer blade very well. The Tottori, on the other hand, is a different beast entirely. With the same outline as the trainer blade, the live blade is crafted with beautifully milled bevels that make up what is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful and unique blades I have seen on any balisong. Drawing inspiration from Japanese short swords, this blade design is full of subtle curves and an intricate mix of hollow and convex grinds that I just adore. It is up there with stuff like my Stitch Steel Alien blade in terms of how much I like the design and how original it is. But my favorite part of the Tottori might just be the texture of the handles. Inspired by the Tottori sand dunes in Japan, their subtle wave-like pattern flows over the entire face of each handle and provides an incredibly pleasing sensation to touch. There is a very difficult balance when it comes to designing a balisong with heavy texture milling like this, where you can easily make it too rough like sandpaper, which is what happened to Brandon. Ow.
What?
Overall, I think the Tottori is the best balisong design Machinewise has crafted to date, and it really excites me about what they might do in the future. These two balisongs do share something important I've yet to bring up though. In the bottom of each handle is a titanium weight, which allows you to adjust the balance. This might be my favorite implementation of an adjustable weight system to date. It is dead simple to change the balance of this balisong, requiring you to remove only a single screw, which does not affect the actual tune of your knife. This allows the end user to actually experiment with different weights easily, though there are only 2 types of weight included in the box. To get more granular adjustment, I would suggest trying something like Zippy's aftermarket spacer extensions, which allow you to add tungsten weights for a more granular zeroing in on your preference. This system is the exact same on both the Tottori and the Sasori, meaning that you can use the same spacer weights across either balisong or no weights at all. On top of that, the design of the weights is dead simple. One flat shape with a specific thickness and a hole in the middle. This genius design means that it would be very easy for anyone to craft their own spacers out of just about anything with the right tools, just like Zippy has already done. There is a level of modability built into these balisongs that I absolutely love to see, and is very true to the core of what Machinewise should be. The titanium Sasori is, of course, just that. It's the Sasori, but in titanium. They did take a bit of material away at the side with the addition of this speed channel, but that didn't do nearly enough to offset the weight gained from the transition between aluminum to titanium. While I like the aesthetic of the Ti Sasori just as much as the original, I honestly wish that they went for something completely different instead of this direct follow-up, but we can save that rant for a bit later in this video. Durability-wise, these balisongs actually offer incredible value. The Ti Sasori is built like a tank in the same way as the Chab, and the Tottori feels light in a way that implies fragility, but is actually quite misleading. They can both handle just about anything you could throw at them, and the live blade is especially well designed with a substantial amount of material concentrated at the tip. However, the most impressive piece of this puzzle is actually quite subtle. Machinewise acquired a Swiss this lathe not too long ago, which is a machine that allows for the creation of very small and precise parts. This can be used to craft your own custom hardware, and they have taken full advantage of it.
Man, I wish someone would take full advantage of us. You know what I mean?
What?
You know what I mean.
No.
You don't know what I mean?
Both of these balisongs feature custom T15 Torx hardware. That's right, T15. These are massive screws that are basically unstrippable, which is an incredible feature I wish more makers would implement. Even better than that though is the actual design of the screws themselves. Dalen has always been a proud hater of Loctite and has striven to make his balisongs completely Loctite free. When you look at these screws side by side with normal ones from someone like Squid Industries, you'll notice some interesting details. First of all, only the bottom portion is actually threaded. This means that the entire area of the threaded portion comes into contact with the barrel instead of always having some of the thread coming out of the top. On top of this,
it's just cool that way.
The most important part is the thread itself though. It is quite small and tight, allowing for many turns to be put into one area. This increases the grip of the screw in the barrel by simply increasing the surface area. More friction means that there's really no need for Loctite most of the time. Brandon loves this about these knives and tells me about it all the time. He says, "Man, I can't believe how well these screws have been designed. I love these things. Have you seen these things? They took a screw and made it better. Why didn't I think of that? Everyone should be using tightly threaded screws for their balisongs. Everyone!" He says that verbatim to me all the time. Regardless of Brandon's quirky Starbucks attitude, I really think this is some incredible design and do wish more companies would implement tighter threads on their balisongs. A few custom makers like Eldon Tally and Stitch Steel have used tighter threads for a long time before Machinewise even did it, but other production-oriented companies should take note, not just custom makers. So obviously, they're well built. I would have hoped for nothing less. The build quality really is the core of Machinewise as a brand. However, updated aesthetics and high quality manufacturing don't mean much if they don't flip well. So let's talk about that, if they flip well. I want to talk about if they're good at flipping, which is the next topic that we're going to talk about because it's convenient for me because I really wanted to explore the topic of flipping and the quality of the The Tottori is one of the best flipping balisongs that is available today. And we're also going to talk about the Ti Sasori. I really love the Tottori. It took me a bit to get used to, similar to my Tsunami from Squid, but I'm glad I took the time to get used to it. It is rewarding to flip, feeling sleek and beautiful in my hands. I love the texture and the way that it feels soft against my fingertips while I'm flipping. It glides effortlessly through my hand and carries momentum with an intentionality that I often find surprising. It really listens, opening up and allowing for precise control that keeps me coming back to try something new. The grip is fantastic, but not too much, and every part of this balisong feels perfectly balanced, like porridge that is just right. It's honestly great. Then there's the Ti Sasori. I think it serves as an interesting counterpoint to the Tottori. The original Sasori felt well thought out and executed, combining two different handle materials with the aluminum and titanium flawlessly. Between these two different weights were two different densities, and that can be hard to account for. So the fact that it worked so well is a testament to their planning. The Ti Sasori, on the other hand, feels a bit more rushed than the original. It's just a direct translation of the original design with an added hole in it, kind of like this Brandon clone.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's just too heavy, really. The handles themselves are pretty dense already, but the strangest part to me is that it comes with the heaviest weights installed by default. Like out of the box, you're getting a strange experience with a self-described heavy handle bias. Personally, I like the Ti Sasori the most without any weights in it at all. If I had the zippy handle extensions, I might really enjoy this thing, but with the default weights, I just don't like it that much. Or at least I thought I didn't. After putting a bit more time into flipping this thing and readjusting my expectations, I've become less disappointed. Kinda like my father.
What's up, son? You're doing great, even though you didn't go to business school.
Recently, I've been enjoying mostly lighter knives like my Tsunami, so of course the Tottori fits right into this, but I can't judge the Ti Sasori from that perspective. Instead, recently, I've been thinking of the Ti Sasori as more of an updated take on a classic balance. Older balisongs used to have a strong handle bias, and back in the day, 5 ounces was the standard weight goal of almost any balisong. It's only recently that things have gotten lighter and lighter, and I actually like that old balance profile a lot. I have quite a few knives that actually have this weight. From my new jawbone, which is actually modeled after a fox jaw, my Stitch Steel Alien, the Palatheus Ronin, my Pro Flipper, or the Talisong, they all have heavier weight and stronger handle bias than many of the most modern options. So after hearing that the default of the Ti Sasori was a strong handle bias, I started thinking about the Ti Sasori as more of a modern version on this classic balance, and I love that idea. It's not a super light or fast flipper, but that's not everything. Where it may resist a change in direction during a full twirl, it will carry great momentum through the smooth rollovers of behind the 8-ball. It flips in a very committal way, meaning that you need to be very intentional with your flipping. If you know what you want to do next and where you want the momentum to flow, you can easily transition it between tricks and string together beautifully flowy combos. But if you're making on-the-spot decisions and trying to change up its trajectory too early, it will resist you. It rewards intentionality, and I think there's a lot to love in that. I am very happy to say that I actually love both of these, just for different reasons. They both complement each other with surprisingly different flipping experiences, meaning that consumers get a real amount of choice for what flipping style they might prefer in only a few products. Between these two balisongs and the Serif, Machinewise covers a lot of the possible flipping experiences, which is a lot of value in such a small lineup. But of course I'm impressed. I mean, I'm a Machinewise fanboy after all. Everybody knows that I'm all about Machinewise and that they can do no wrong. So I think that we need a less biased voice. Someone who cares less about Machinewise and can be more objective. Unfortunately, Brandon is not that.
All right, so I've already done some pretty wacky stuff during this review, so I promise, from this moment onward, absolutely nothing strange, weird, or intense will happen whatsoever. I don't have much to add on top of what Will has already said. We feel the same way about the Tottori, and while he initially felt very differently than I did about the Ti Sasori, I'm glad that we ultimately agree it's a heavy but fun flipper. I like them both for different reasons in the same way that Will does, and I'm happy to see Machinewise continue to grow and expand and see another take on different balisong designs from Martine. So from my more beginner-focused Starbucks mindset, whatever the fuck that means, I would be happy to own either of these as they both offer an extremely premium experience. That experience, of course, comes at a pretty high cost, with both of these starting at $400 for the trainer variant and $450 plus for the live blade. And that's what I'm here to talk about, is how much I'm going to miss their old lineup and the pricing that it offered. With Machinewise only offering titanium products now, from their pens to their balisongs, I can't really recommend Machinewise as a budget-friendly American maker anymore like I could with the Prisma and the Prisma Pro. The Prisma used to start at $140 in 2022, and the Prisma Pro was $185 in 2023. Both of those reviews still remain some of my favorite reviews that I've hosted on this channel to this day, especially the Prisma Pro review, which I co-hosted with our friend Ethan Blade Bias. That was fun, wasn't it, Ethan?
Oh,
Howdy.
what you doing there, bud?
That's nothing. You don't gotta worry about that.
Really?
That's great. Look at them go. Kids these days. The Prisma and Prisma Pro, I think, are still fantastic balisongs, especially the Prisma Pro. The extended length of the handles and the simple but still effective design and great sound All of that was really hard to come by when this originally came out. And while I certainly understand Machinewise's desire to move into purely being a high-end maker with high-end expectations, especially with the woes that they've had making aluminum balisongs, like the people that they have anodized their stuff have messed up like huge batches of their handles that they've had to just scrap. That sucks. But I'm going to miss being able to recommend Machinewise to people that are just getting into the whole balisong hobby. Thankfully, Squid Industries, Nabalis, LDY, and especially BB Barfly have that cheaper range very well covered. And for that reason alone, I can understand Machinewise not really finding a good hole to fit cheaper offerings like they used to make. But I do hope that they bring back some of those options in the future. The aluminum Sasori really surprised me after I was extremely skeptical of it. And even though the price of $200+ is still a pretty steep offering these days, I'm bummed that so many people won't be able to try how fun of a flipper this is. Competing in the modern balisong market is tough. You might ask, why would I ever spend $400+ on a balisong when I could get something cheap, made in China, for so much less? This is where I want to really start hitting this point home much more often. Chinese balisong prices are the exception, not the rule. Mass producing something in China is a completely different ballgame than a 3 to 4 person team doing all of the designing, manufacturing, assembly, and shipping from one building like Machinewise does. Even our products we have with Nabalis, which we think are a great value and super solid flippers, shouldn't be considered the standard of what balisong prices should be. Now, if only somebody would take up my offer to let the Brandon clones assemble all their balisongs, prices would be way cheaper. But they say, ooh, that would be a human rights violation, which I argue against because the Brandon clones aren't technically human. They're more of a... Compared to other North American titanium balisongs, Machinewise is charging extremely reasonable prices for these, with options from Squid Industries, EPS, BRS, and Flytanium all hovering around that similar price range. And I think both of these are very solid competitors to any of those balisongs from those other companies, and in a lot of ways are superior. If you want to know direct comparisons to those other options, just ask us in the comment section and we'll do our best to answer. So while these do compete in price with other North American titanium balisongs, I would love so much for them to introduce something cheaper that I can recommend to people getting started in the hobby. But thankfully, with the Ti Sasori and the Tottori, you'll be getting a great value product made by people who deeply care about this hobby and your experience flipping their stuff. There's a reason that the Tottori won Balisong of the Year at the 2024 Bally Awards, which you can watch right there. You should absolutely do that. It was fantastic. I also deeply care about this hobby and your experience flipping our stuff and watching our videos, and thus I must meet my contractual obligation because this is a Machinewise product review that I am doing part of the hosting for. So I am therefore legally obligated to spontaneously burst into flames. Told you nothing weird would happen. Off to the Eastern Front.
Damn it, dude, why can't I do a giraffe? Fuck!
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing for you.
I am losing my grip on reality. While I really do enjoy both of these knives for different reasons, like Brandon, I do hope that Machinewise goes back to making the original Sasori as well. While the 3 offerings they currently have are great, they all are, well, pretty expensive, and don't cover the feeling that only aluminum can provide as a flipping experience. If you are interested in either of these knives though, I highly recommend both. And I would feel that way even if we didn't have a discount affiliate link at machinewise.willhirsch.gay. They are incredibly well built and feel great to flip with their own respective experiences, especially if you buy them from our affiliate link by going to your browser and typing in machinewise.willhirsch.gay, or just click the link in the description, I guess, you spoil sport. I'd like to thank Machinewise for sending both of these out for review. I really want to own a Tottori specifically in the future and will be buying one for sure. In the meantime, what do you think about these balisongs? I'd love to hear your thoughts on their cost and design, and if you own one already or the original Sasori, what kind of experience has it given you? Let me know in the comments below. By the way, we've had an awesome restock on a lot of our merch for this winter season at willhirsch.gay. There are hoodies, beanies, shirts, and more. One of my favorite recent additions is the sticker sheets, which Brandon, can you hand me? I need these sticker sheets, which allow you to effectively, I can't grab the case very well, I got it. Effectively sticker bomb an entire case with literally just one sheet. Like I did all of this to this case with one sticker sheet, and I didn't even use all of the stickers. I thought it actually turned out pretty cool. Compared to the old sticker packs, you get more stickers in more sizes with the same level of quality. Check out all this and more at willhirsch.gay, which is a real website. Why do you keep asking if it's a real website? It is, I promise. Just try going there. It totally works. .gay is a real domain name. Why does nobody believe me? As always, I want to give a massive thank you to our incredible Patreon supporters. Their amorphous shape lulls me to sleep every night with the knowledge that they'll keep giving me $3 a month if I continue to dance like a monkey for their entertainment. Our Patreon is the best and most direct way any viewer can support this channel, with a single patron at our lowest tier supporting us more than 1,000 views on one of these videos. I want to give a special thanks to VIP patrons Exho and Garrett Rowland for their direct and substantial support of the channel. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Now if you'll excuse me,
Man, I can't believe how well these screws have been designed. I love these things. Have you seen these things? They took a screw and made it better. Why didn't I think of that? Everyone should be using tightly.